On Saturday night, Rob Gronkowski appeared on something called the Bud Light Seltzer Drafter Party. He was a co-host along with our good friend Big Cat. And during the drafter party, which went on well over an hour, one of the guests was Sage Steele from ESPN. She was talking about the AFC North, how competitive it may be this year. She mentioned that Joe Burrow had been studying the Bengals playbook for weeks, and that's when Gronk blurted out, "That's no big deal. I was in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers playbook 4 weeks ago, and I wasn't even on the team." Someone saw that. Someone heard that. Someone pointed that out to me, and I poked around yesterday, asked the Patriots, hey, was there permission for the Buccaneers to talk to Gronk 4 weeks ago, permission to give him a playbook, and Patriots didn't have any response. And I eventually said, hey, you know what? People are going to be interested in this. I find it interesting. That's always my guiding light for stories. If I find it interesting, I assume others are going to find it interesting. And the idea that more than 3 weeks before the Patriots traded the rights to Rob Gronkowski to the Buccaneers, he had a playbook, Chris, that's significant. Because how do you get it? Does it just pop up out of nowhere? The fact that you have the playbook suggests that there were maybe some conversations that shouldn't have happened, because at that point, Rob Gronkowski was still the contractual property of the Patriots. And, you know, we've been talking about tampering as it relates to Tom Brady, and Bruce Arians blurted out at the scouting combine, yeah, I'll call Tom Brady when free agency opens. Clear tampering violation. Nobody cares. Questions of whether or not they spoke to Tom Brady directly before they were allowed to. Tampering violation. Nobody cares. There's a certain point there where you push your luck that the NFL says, you know, we really don't want to do this, but we have to. And I think that if Gronk really did have the playbook 3 weeks before he was traded by the Patriots to the Bucs, the league would have had to have done something about it, Chris.
Well, I would think so. You know, again, I don't think this is totally crazy in the NFL underworld, you know, with stuff like this happening. You know, it does have the looks, though, right now, just at like face value to go, you know, this looks like something like Tom Brady and Gronkowski have been talking about this probably for 5, 6, 7 weeks, and it was on their radar, and Gronkowski was starting to come around to it, and somehow, some way, he got his hands on a playbook, whether that's Tom Brady, who just brought it over his house when they were in Boston, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers shipped it through the mail. The Buccaneers they're playing with fire a little bit. We know that. You know, again, I'm not like disappointed that Brady went to Byron Leftwich's house and tried to do extra work. You know, you heard my rant there yesterday. We played it at the beginning of the show. I'm all for that. That's a stupid rule. You know, this, on the other hand, you know, it's not a stupid rule, but you're certainly opening yourself up for, you know, fines. And I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know, are lucky right now that the New England Patriots aren't making a bigger stink about this, because they certainly, with these two players, are showing that they have affection and love for them and are willing to sweep this under the rug, it seems like, to this point, which is shocking to me. But I'm not shocked Gronkowski got the playbook early, Mike. I mean, that's just what goes on in the NFL a lot of times in these situations.
Now here's the thing. The NFL's tampering rules are violated all the time, blatantly.
Right.
Everyone does it. And the challenge is, I think, to just be discreet about it so the NFL doesn't have to do something about it. And there was a weird thing 3 or 4 years ago where, just out of the blue, the NFL whacked the Chiefs for having premature discussions directly with Jeremy Maclin when he was jumping from the Eagles, where he had been drafted by Andy Reid, to the Chiefs, where Reid was the head coach. And they ended up losing a third-round draft pick over it. So when the NFL does wake up and enforce the tampering rules against one of the 32 teams that are violating the tampering rules, it's ugly for that team. That's why there is at least a little concern here, because you never know when the Kraken is going to be unleashed, right? And there's a chance that the NFL could look at it and say, look, we looked the other way on the Byron Leftwich meeting that shouldn't have happened. We've looked the other way on the tampering comments that Bruce Arians made. Now we have to do something. So that's why I believe, Chris, Rob Gronkowski took to Twitter last night to try to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Here's what he said. This is seriously a story? Well, yes, it is, Rob, because you said it. I was just joking around with Sage, as I was pretty much the whole time that night when I was co-hosting the show. Wowzers, my co-hosting skills On point. LOL. I actually just received my team-issued Surface today from the Bucs. I guess he didn't have to go to Leftwich's house and get it. And it's still in the package. And I'm hoping it's all pictures and drawings. I'm pumped to open it one day, hopefully soon, and follow the arrows to learn where to run to. Gronk run, Gronk catch, no playbook needed, hee. Okay, yeah. Look, what else is he going to say? Here's the thing. There's two possibilities. He wasn't joking around, because I'm still looking for the punchline. I don't know, maybe it's too subtle for my peculiar sense of humor to understand where the joke is. When Sage Steele says Joe Burrow's had his playbook for weeks and Gronk says, so have I don't get it. I don't know, Chris. Maybe there's a joke there that I missed. I just think that Gronk had to try to put this fire out because he probably got a phone call from someone with the Buccaneers saying, you moron, what are you doing?
Of course. It's total damage control. I mean, he was asked a question and responded immediately and without thinking and blurted out something that was very real, that he had the playbook for weeks. Oh, that's no big deal. Now, people need to understand that Joe Burrow having the Cincinnati Bengals playbook is not against the rules. Joe Burrow was not property of anybody's team. So they're allowed to give him something like that. And that goes on very much in the draft process. I think we need to explain that to people, too, so they understand that. You know, usually through like quarterbacks, especially in the draft process, with the teams that are, you know, if you're a top pick or considered that top pick, the teams that are involved in that conversation for drafting you will send you a really base playbook with like the base language and some of the base plays there so you can learn it and they can test you on it and see what you can retain and what you can teach back to them so they can see how quick you are mentally. So that's different than this. This is covert operations. Hey, Rob Gronkowski's thinking about playing football. Whoa, Brady's talked him into coming with us to Tampa Bay. Let's get him a playbook and get him started before we even get talking about contract or anything. Let's let him dabble in it a little, just get a little familiar with it and get a head start. That's what happened here. I don't have any doubt about it. I don't know that, but that's just my experience being around the NFL and hearing stories like this. That's what I would imagine happened. And Gronk being big Gronk, big tight end, he played football. He had slippage of tongue and accidentally said it Saturday night.
Well, and here's the thing, too. If you're going to try to have it both ways, as a player, as a former player who was building a media career but now decides he wants to play again, you better be damn careful about what you say. This is why Bill Belichick is the way he is. Do you think Gronk ever says something like this when he's a member of the Patriots? And now he's got this new reality where he can do what he wants and he can have fun and he can be Gronk. And you can step in a pile of something that you do not want to step in because you will be scraping it out of your shoe for hours, if not days to come. And that's exactly what Gronk is now forced to do. He had to do this. He had to engage in damage control because, and look, this is just this is speculation, right? But like you said, it's based on following this and understanding what really happens. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg with Gronk having the playbook. I think a lot of stuff was probably going on. I think a lot of stuff was going on with Brady. I think a lot of stuff was going on with Gronk.
I agree,
and I
Mike.
don't think the Bucs give a crap. Their attitude is, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. We're going to do what we have to do. And if we hit a little speed bump along the way, we'll deal with it.
That's right. I'm with you too, Mike. I mean, the more and more we go down this road, you know, I just feel like this was part of the master plan, probably somewhere early in February when Brady started to have real conversations with teams and his agent Don Yee started to reach out to people. And I'm sure there was some communication with Rob Gronkowski. Hey, ultimately, I don't really care, okay? I don't think it's like a huge deal. It's not like Gronk, you know, is going through the playbook and like, oh, I got it all figured out. But it is showing you that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't give a damn right now and that they are going for it. And they were willing to play with fire or dance the fine line or breaking the rules. And so what? You know, that's the other thing, too. Oh, whoa. So the NFL fines $1 billion organization, what, a few $100,000, a drop in the bucket?
Draft picks. It's draft picks.
Or
it's
draft
not the fine.
picks
It's the draft pick you got to worry about. Those draft picks are what they're worried about. They don't care about the fines. They care about the draft picks. We got to go. But it really is no risk it, no biscuit personified for the Buccaneers right now, I believe.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.